How's it going? This is Don again, here to bring you another video game review. Like I told you before, I personally like reviewing some of these family-friendly titles, stuff that you could play with your kids if you wanted to take time to do that. Without further ado, let me introduce you to a game that is called City Skylines, and I'll go ahead and let you know. This is a game that my girls enjoy watching me play. It's a game that they've started to pick up and started to play some on their own. And so this is the load-in screen. Now, the reason I stop here on this load-in screen is because I think it's very important to point out something about this game. There is a lot of content. So if you look over on the right hand side, you'll see the DLCs that are available for purchase. These DLCs are all $10, $15, $20. I mean, they're pricey DLCs, and each one adds another layer to the game that you would need to go into and need to learn how to use and how to control. For what I have a pretty base game. I added a couple of DLCs that were either very cheap, they were on sale, or they were free. But otherwise, this is about as base of a game as you can get. And so, when you're thinking about City Skylines, what I want you to do is I want you to think back to, for me, it was the old Super Nintendo, and the first city building sim that I ever played was Sim City. And I can remember sitting there playing with my brother-in-law, and we built these cities that were just perfectly laid out. We didn't use any roads. It was all transit, and they were these perfect squares, and everything just laid perfectly on the map. And we found the one with the least amount of water so we could get the most out of our land. Now take that and multiply the complexity by about a million, and that's what we have with City Skylines. And so I'm going to pull up, I'm not even sure which one of the games I'm pulling up right now. I just hit continue, so it might be one that I built. It might be one that I built with my girls, or it might be one that the girls have built by themselves. But I just wanted to show you a little bit about City Skylines. Let it get in here. We got some rain. So this is one that me and the girls have built together. So when we look at this one, you'll notice that there's some very high residential place. Uh, that means high density. That means you've got your apartment buildings and things like that in this highly residential place. There's highly commercial places too. There's some Anchor Park over here. This is where you have low density residential. This is where you have single family homes. These looks like some very well-to-do single family homes, but you've got all that in there. Down here we've got some stuff some power lines that aren't hooked up to anything. Probably should rectify that. I'm not going to worry about playing right now. I'm more about showing you the game. And so this is kind of what the game is. You can see our buildable space that we have purchased through the game. And we are playing a mode that if I were playing with kids, I would suggest where money doesn't matter. So if you look down on the bottom of the screen, you can see that there's a money symbol right next to my video that has the infinity sign next to it. That means whatever money you want, you have. I play one on my own where that's not the case, where I have to raise the money and I have to balance a budget and I have to take care of all of that stuff. You get little tweets from people in the town that tell you what's going on. And then down here on the bottom, you'll notice, let's see, you'll notice these little, some of them are behind my picture there. These are how you build. These are how you put the things out there. So let's say I wanted to come in here and add a police department, and I wanted it to be downtown here. I could put it right here. It tells me the construction cost. Doesn't matter because I don't have any money in this one anyway. See that big purple street coming down right here? That means there's already a police department there. It's one of the bigger ones. So I'm going to bring this one over here. And I want to put this police department, I don't know. Let's put it over here. And so then these people can be happy. I build it and watch all those people around there are now more happy. And that's the basics of the game. When it comes to putting in utilities, it's not super difficult. You can see the water lines that I run throughout, and you don't have to connect them to each individual building. Uh, but there's all kinds of different layers to this game, and to be honest, you can make this game as in depth as you want with your kids. I do suggest. Let me give you a beginner suggestion. You have to build a place that you pull in water, and you have to build a place where you put out waste. Make sure you pay attention to the way that the water flows, and you make sure that the waste is flowing away from your intake. Otherwise, that's a real easy way to have issues with having a very sick city. Okay, so with that said, that's the basics of the very basics of the gameplay to uh, City Skylines. And now, one thing that I absolutely love about City Skylines is it's one of those time wasters. So we actually started playing this city that I just showed you on a snow day when it had been 2 or 3 snow days, and the girls they did not want to go back outside, and we needed something to fill time. So I turned on City Skylines, and I gave them all a little section and said, all right, here's your little section. What do you want to build? And they told me what to build, and I did all the controls. Now, my oldest is probably old enough now to figure out the controls and do it herself. But City Skylines is a great tool to use when you're needing to just fill a few minutes and give the kids a sense of purpose, a little bit of creativity. Now, City Skylines is not a cheap game, especially if you start looking at all those expansions. It was at one point part of Microsoft, what do they call it? Game Pass. So it was free on Game Pass, and I don't know if it's still there or not. But there's a lot of stuff that you can do in there that the kids really they love to watch it build. And so one thing I would do is I would pause the game, use the left thumbstick to pause it, and I would build a whole bunch of stuff. And then I would unpause it and turn it on the fastest amount of time, and you can watch the things start building in that area. And they're like, oh, there's a house, or oh, there's a school, or whatever's popping up. And so when it comes to City Skylines, I'm thinking if you have kids that are as young as 5 and all the way up, I love playing this game sometimes when I just need to chill. Um, it I would suggest it as a buy, but at the same time, if you're not into city builders, just skip it entirely because that's exactly what it is. It's just a city builder. I will say that it plays a whole lot more friendly on a computer than it does a console, but it is so much better than the newer SimCities. They are so intricate, and this one has a little bit less of that intricacy. Makes it a little bit more user friendly. So City Skylines is not a must buy, but something that you should definitely look into.